brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, those who are listening, watching from the field of education. Today, it is a very nice time, nice place, nice section. We are appreciating, admiring our Indian educational technologies. Dear friends, our Indian holy native land, our motherland, is known by its skills. Spiritualistically, our country has established a great record, history or story in the field of religious, cultural, spiritual, traditional, conventional values of this nation. All over the world, wherever there is the need of humanity, India presented, performed in the form of sharer of joys and sorrows of the world. Internationally, wherever any nation face natural challenges, natural calamities, devastations and disasters, our Indian people contribute and participate in serving them humanitarianly. Nature keeps us in present. But nature fills us with great values. Our history says our forefathers, foretellers, forecasters, freedom fighters, those who born in India, nationalistically and patriotistically, they addressed, appealed and advocated to the worldly people for the oneness, uniqueness. The strongest feature of our nation is unity and diversity. The most honorable President President Modi ji started Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. In the different states, it was started as Mukhyamantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, for making our youngsters skilled, talented, mannered, styled in the different fields of agriculture, industry, economy, ecology, means of transportation, means of communication, railways, post offices, banks and hospitals. In all the sectors of economy, we see there is a great requirement of our skilled youth or youngsters. So for providing them a great platform or infrastructure that can help them in resolving, recreating, reoperating our nation. In the education, in the field of education, our scholars or learners are made trained in their skills, potentially, kinetically and dynamically. If they invest their energy by being creative, definitely it can bring back great results. Here we are expressing reference skills. How to discuss its usefulness in teaching learning process. What are the disadvantages of reference skills? Reference skill means a written or spoken comment that mention or a note, especially in a book, that tells you where certain information came from or can be found. Skill means the ability coming from one's knowledge, practice, aptitude, etc. to do something well. This type of skill has different learning objectives, which are understand the content of business English and its relevance to you and your careers. Describe several types of dictionaries, including print, electronic and online. Use a dictionary confidently to determine spelling, meaning, pronunciation, syllabication, accent, word usage and word history. Select a dictionary to suit your words. Anticipate what information is included in dictionaries and what information is not. Understand value of reference annuals. So reference skills like dictionary, atlas, encyclopedia and thesaurus, etc. are very useful for skill making in a student. Earlier, we have discussed about this reference skill in developing reading skills chapter. Today's education is based on learning to do. It means vocationalization of education. This pillar of learning implies for application of what learners have learned or known into practice. It is closely related to vocational technical education and work skill training. New learning should prepare young learners to be successful workers and responsible citizens in their adulthood. So education should be implemented in such a way so that it can equip people to do the types of work needed in the future. The advantages of competency-based education are: it is aimed at providing the learner with the knowledge, skills and attitudes. Application of competency-based education in the context of diversity and change in a specific job or profession. Students are required to have minimum level of competency in both knowledge and skill components. It promotes ownership to the learner for their learning, utilizes a variety of learning methods, and uses an objective assessment and a performance assessment. Competency-based education is usually not taught in one single module, but it is integrated throughout several modules or the entire curriculum. This enhances the learner's knowledge of skills. Dear friends, every technology in every field that has merits and demerits, advantages and disadvantages, do's and don'ts, but it depends upon the user. How does he handle or tackle the situation? In the disadvantages of competency-based education are that the learner often focuses on the assessment instead of completing assignments. The benefits of competency-based education for adults. The reason for this action by the student is that grades are based on assessment, not activities or assignments. Often, instructors focus on developing assessments. This form of education uses defined learning objectives or performance objectives to measure the student's level of competency. With competency-based education, there are 5 stages of competency. These stages are novice, advanced beginning, competence, proficiency and expertise. So due to technological changes, purely physical tasks are being replaced by tasks with a greater intellectual content, such as the operation, maintenance and monitoring of machines, and design and organizational tasks as the machines themselves becomes more intelligent. Therefore, the stress of education should be on personal competence, because changes in the job skills requires new type of learning. Study skills are strategies and techniques that enable you to make the most efficient use to your time, resources and academic potential. These skills help you in developing and improving you in study. In other words, study skills are those by which you make your study faster, smarter, and even longer without getting bored. It is different than study habits, which are repetitive actions of studying done to have great marks. Study skills are most effective for having great marks if done right. In importance of study skills. Study skills are approaches and strategies we use in learning. These are the most important skills to master to get good grades. Honing your study skills not only helps you succeed academically, it will also help you do well in life. Without effective study skills, we will become overwhelmed and disgraced. In fact, these skills can usually be learned in a short time and applied to every grade level in every subject. If you just have to be persistent at practicing and using these skills until they become second nature to you, some of the benefits of improved study skills are reduced test and anxiety, increased confidence, competence, and self-esteem. You will realize that good grades are not always achieved through studying long hours. You can cut down on the number of hours you study by studying efficiently through knowing how to study. Once you learn these skills, you will be well on your way to becoming a successful student. You have always wanted to be. Academic coaches and tutors will give you useful tips and tools you can adopt when you study or prepare for exams. How a teacher develops good study skills during teaching. We know that some students in a class with poor or inadequate study skills, but you as an instructor will develop good study skills as a part of the class you are teaching. But there is something you can do in your class to assist them in assuming responsibility for their learning and in becoming more effective learners. Emphasize the importance of good study skills to student success. Most students are not aware of the value of good study skills to their success. The first thing students must recognize is the benefit of good study habits. A teacher can help you taking a few minutes of class time to encourage students to improve their study skills and by giving them compelling reasons why it's worth their time and effort. Inform students of the knowledge, skills and study behaviors that will help them to be successful in your class. A good teacher informs their students of the types of skills. The course content requirements will help them to have a realistic understanding of class expectations and to make judgment about their preparedness to meet course requirements. You can help your students by identifying and explaining the general requirements of your course content like basic skills, the reading, writing, communication skills to demonstrate learning basic, vocabulary, etc. Help students assess their study skills, strengths and weaknesses. Strengths and weaknesses. A student who has poor study habits may be deficient in any or all of these areas. Any deficiency will hamper a student's ability to master content or to demonstrate mastery of the content in the class. So teacher can help a student determine where help is needed. Guide students to resources available at your school and on the internet. Provide students with information resources for study skills developing. Every teacher knows the study skills are important to class success, and developing good study skills is the student's responsibility. So provide students with information resources for study skills development. If resources are not able to provide to the students, then teacher's duty is to provide them study skills which helps in students' mastery. Give students clear directions and frequent opportunities for progress assessment and feedback on classwork. The teacher can help students to develop and use study strategies that support mastery of the content of the class, like to create well-organized, giving learning objectives for every lesson, use variety of teaching method, generate weekly lesson content outline, encourage students to ask questions through practice, discussion and interaction, provide regular feedback on students' progress, recognizing common students' study problems. There are undoubtedly the most used reasons students give for their study failures. You will hear many of these problems from your students. Here are some suggestions you can provide to students who state specific study problems like reading course, study skills course, or module in reading, learning skills assessment, study skill module or course in listening, reading, note-taking, study group or partner, different sitting arrangement. Even though all these study skills developments may not be among the learning objectives for your course, your efforts to emphasize the importance of and to provide resources to help students develop better study skills will be reflected in improved student performance and satisfaction. Higher order skills. Higher order think known as higher order thinking skills. Higher order thinking skills is a concept of education reform based on learning taxonomies such as Bloom's taxonomy. The idea is that some types of learning require more cognitive processing than others, but also have more generalized benefits. In Bloom's taxonomy, for example, skills involving analysis, evaluation, and synthesis are the thought to be of a higher order, requiring different learning and teaching methods than the learning of facts and concepts. Higher order thinking involves the learning of complex judgment skills such as critical thinking and problem solving. Higher order thinking is more difficult to learn or teach, but also more valuable because such skills are more likely to be usable in novel situations, that is, situations Importance of higher order thinking skills. We know that we are living in 21st century, which means everything has been changing in modern world. In the same way, our teaching ways or methods also change now. It means if we have to think high, then we gain higher level of anything. In teaching methods, higher order thinking skills prepare students to live in 21st century. In this method, learning is divided into three domains of educational activity. One is cognitive mental skills based upon knowledge. Two is affective growth in feeling or emotional areas based upon attitude or self. Three is psychomotor, manual or physical skills that is based upon skills. According to Bloom's taxonomy teaches, Bloom's taxonomy teachers can teach and think these skills, specifically teaching the language and concept of higher order thinking. Teacher should not only teach the language and concept, but also tell students what they are doing and why high order thinking skills are necessary for them to problem solving at school and in life. For example, when they see words like define, recognize, recall, identify, level, etc., they know they are being asked to recall facts and demonstrate their knowledge of content. Consciously teach to embrace higher order thinking. In order to foster deep conceptual understanding, consider using teach skills to real world context. Teach skills to real world context. Use a newly taught skill. Emphasize the building blocks of higher order thinking. Build background knowledge. Classify things in categories. Arrange items along dimensions. Make hypotheses. Draw inferences. Analyze things into their components. Solve problems. Encourage students to think about the thinking strategies they are using. Planning classroom questioning and discussion time to take into particular higher order thinking skills. In this steps planning, teachers plan that they are likely to ask recall questions rather than questions that require higher order thinking. Teachers should encourage students to reflect on their learning so they understand their thinking strengths and weaknesses. Providing scaffolding. It involves giving students support at the beginning of a lesson and then gradually turning over responsibility to the students to operate on their own. By using scaffolding, provide structure, representations and discussions of thinking tasks, providing opportunities for practice in solving problems. These all are proposed by a teacher to students as guidelines. Therefore, in order to assess so that students can demonstrate mastery, teachers need to plan assessment items that allow students to use all the skills of the taxonomy, analysis, Loud reading means reading a text by producing sounds audible to others. This reading is useful at the early stages, but it will be nothing less than luxury if it is carried on at higher stages of learning the language. Loud reading trains students to link the written or printed symbols with the spoken words together with the meaning. The speaker learns the correct pronunciation, accent, stress and intonation. The purpose of loud reading is to give the students practice in reading aloud. Any mistake of pronunciation made by them are pointed out and the correct forms are drilled to the whole class. Reading aloud by the teacher can help the students in the improvement of their listening ability. They are also able to sharpen their recognition of different sounds. Loud reading has some benefits. It helps in the improvement of pronunciation. Through loud reading, the mistakes of the students are known to the others. The teacher can thus rectify these mistakes. Some students are eager-minded. Through loud reading, they can memorize easily. Loud reading can help the students in becoming more attentive. Write a brief note on silent reading. Silent reading means reading something without producing sounds audible to others. This type of reading is done quietly. In it, the pupil is not expected to move his lips. This type of reading is useful at the advanced level of language learning. Silent reading is not of any use if it is carried on at the lower stages of learning a language, but it is highly recommended at higher stages. A.W. says, while reading aloud has its uses, few pupils will have much need of it when they leave school. We must teach the students the skill of silent reading as well as possible, since it is useful to our pupils throughout their lives. According to Rival, the aims of silent reading are pleasure and profit. To be able to read from interest and to get information. Intensive and extensive reading. It means a detailed study of the text. Intensive reading means a detailed study of the text. This means that the student masters all the language items, that is, vocabulary and construction in a given lesson. He also knows in detail the contents of the lesson. This means that the student masters both the language and the contents of the lesson. Intensive reading aims at teaching vocabulary and structures to the students. In the words of Lowry, the object is to get the lesson into the memory as living material which the children can use. In extensive reading. Extensive reading means a non-detailed study of the text. It is to read a lesson for its ideas and information. The aim of extensive reading is not so much to improve language as to gather ideas. Any improvement in the language is a byproduct. Extensive reading aims at enriching the student's knowledge, cultivating a taste for reading, enabling the students to knowing how to make strokes with proper hand movement, knowing how to make letters with the right shape and size, knowing how to have the right spacing between letters, words and lines, knowing how to use capital letters and marks of punctuation correctly, knowing how to have a fluent hand movement from left to right. Writing scripts. There are two kinds of writing scripts. One is print script, second is cursive script. It saves the botheration of learning two scripts simultaneously. The print script is for reading. It is easier to learn than the cursive script. In it, the student has not to join individual letters to form words, as is the case with the cursive hand. Print script is more beautiful than the cursive script. It is supposed that the beginners should follow the print script for the first 3 years and later on switch over to cursive script. Principles of teaching writing. The principles of writing are: principle of proper selection of material. The material to be used in writing should be well selected. It should be according to the mental level of the learners. Second is principle of gradation. The material for writing should be graded that will help the learners write easily and interestingly. Principle of motivation. The material in writing should encourage and motivate the students. For good handwriting, the students must be given some prizes. Principle of utility. The material for writing should have its utility. It must be of some help to students in one way or the other. Principle of oral practice. Oral acquaintance of the material for the student will help them write correctly. It will also reduce the chances of committing errors. Principle of follow. Follow every activity and in every work is of utmost importance. That makes the person more alert for the reading. It also helps both the teacher as well as the learners. Dear friends, today we are providing educational technologies to our youngsters, to our pupil teachers, those who are watching online through a YouTube channel. Digitally, they are observing, examining how words are generated and how the word influences us in understanding the great techniques of this modernization of Western culture. Remedial and enrichment content. Remedial teaching may be defined as the specialized instruction for students deviating from the expected norm. Remedial teaching is education activities aimed at removing deficiencies in knowledge or skills, according to web definition. Remedial teaching is a moral building and an interest building enterprise for the students, according to EH laws. Remedial teaching is denoting or relating to special teaching method or material for backwards and slow learners, according to Free Dictionary. Remedial teaching aims at being specific and exact. It attempts to find a procedure which will correct the child's errors of skill or thought. It aims to correct errors of the students made in the past and prevents future errors. In remedial teaching, the teacher tries to find ways and means of applying remedies for errors of all sorts. Remedial work consists in constructing a better method and having practiced the method under the teacher's supervision until it's done. Purpose of remedial teaching are: one is developing listening skill of the pupils. Two is developing reading skill. Three is developing speaking skill. Four is developing writing skill. Process of remedial teaching. It should be followed by diagnostic test. It is mainly organized to remove the difficulties of the weaker students in study. Types of remedial teaching. Remedial teaching without diagnostic test. Remedial teaching after diagnostic test. 3 is remedial teaching for the whole class. 4 is remedial teaching for the backward students. 5 is individual remedial teaching. 6 is group remedial teaching. Functions or significance of remedial teaching: to assist the students who remain backward with their classroom teaching, to solve the learning difficulties of the students in English language, to raise the standard of English teaching, to improve and modify the teacher's instructional procedure in view of wide coverage of the learner's variation, to avoid wastage in educational process, to evolve the effective strategy of teaching English, to train the students in independence, self-learning, self-correction based on the principle of learning to learn. Remedial teaching strategies. Remedial teaching in English is performed. One is class teaching. In this form of remedial teaching, the teacher teaches the whole class. Here, he takes a particular lesson or unit. He stresses a particular point again and again. He removes the difficulties and deficiencies of the students. In this type of remedial teaching, the teacher helps in removing the weaknesses and learning difficulties of the general teacher. Group teaching. In this type of remedial teaching, the students are divided into groups. They are divided on the basis of their general learning difficulties. Then the teacher teaches these groups separately and tries to solve the problems of the students. Individual remedial teaching. In individual remedial teaching, the teacher attends to the difficulties of individual students. It is one-to-one teaching. The teacher helps and guides those students visually. He pays maximum attention to the principle of individual differences. Here, students learn at their own pace. They get appropriate help, personal attention of the teacher. Supervised remedial teaching. Here, the role of the teacher is confined to notice and supervise the learning activities of the students. He provides as much help as needed to carry them path of self-learning and self-correction. Here the learner is more active and the teacher has to assist the learners in their difficulties. Auto-instructional teaching. This type of remedial teaching involves auto-instructional programs and activities. Here the learner is provided with self-learning materials such as auto-learning modules, programmed learning textbooks, teaching machines and computer-assisted program instructions. Action research. Action research is also a remedial device for classroom problems. It is used for solving both the general and the specific problems. Procedure for remedial teaching. IQ device has suggested the following 4 steps. 1 is planning, 2 is organizing, 3 is leading, and 4 is evaluating. In remedial program for teaching pronunciation, the teacher has to take into consideration the individual weakness of students. 1. Remedial program is not possible for all the students belonging to different classes, schools and regions. Difficulties in learning pronunciation. E.M. Anthony writes, difficulties in learning to pronounce the sounds of a second language are associated with the contrast between the sound systems of the native language and the language to be learned. Actually, in Anthony's opinion, that Hindi speakers in India find difficulties in pronouncing words such as them, then, well, etc. In fact, they do not stress the intense situations. What are general objectives of remedial pronunciation? To teach pronunciation which will be internationally intelligible, to root out the pronunciation, mispronunciation of English sounds, which is due to the influence of the mother tongue, to help the students use weak and strong forms properly, to help them use proper stress and intonation, to help them learn those vowels, consonants and consonants cluster that present special difficulties to students. Procedure of remedial teaching. Lecture and demonstration. The teachers should lecture as well as demonstrate while teaching remedial pronunciation. For example, he can demonstrate the sound W with lip rounded and pushed forward. In the same way, he can demonstrate the sound V with the lower lip pressing against the upper teeth. He can demonstrate the charms showing the position of lips and tongue. Listening practice. Listening practice by the students after teaching demonstration. For this purpose, liver formed records can prove of excellent help. Ear training. Students should be given maximum practice in listening, initiating and producing sounds. Stress should be laid on maximum practice. Common errors in English and their removal through remedial teaching. Error analysis and remedial measures are essential for imparting communication skills. English being a non-native language, Indians frequently make mistakes of various sorts. The word error is derived from the Latin word error, meaning to wander. According to Whitcotter, there are different types of faults. Errors. 1 is errors, 2 is mistakes, 3 is lapses. Errors. Error is a grammatical incorrect form. It indicates that the learner has not mastered the code of the second language. Suppose a learner says he sleeps instead of he sleeps. It means that he has learned the grammatical forms and the rules that govern the language. Such grammatical errors are called errors. Mistakes. These are the forms that are grammatically correct but socially inappropriate. Such faults are called mistakes. Lapses. These are the faults that can be best described as slips of the tongue or pen. Suppose a writer spells the word deceive as DC, or husband, and husband it is a slip of the pen. Types of errors. The errors can be divided. One is area. This means one error related to some specific area of language. It can be phonological errors. These are the errors related to pronunciation. For example, in a word like river, the last row should not be pronounced fully. If it is done, it is phonological errors. Lexical errors. These are the errors related to words. For example, air-conditioned room. Here, it is not required. It is a lexical error. Conditioned. No need to speak. It. Condition. Grammatical error. This type of error is related to sentence structure. For example, he prefers tea than coffee. Here, to should be used instead of than. It is a grammatical error. Semantical error. This error is due to the ambiguity of meaning. For example, she is like ice cream. Here the meaning is not clear. Called semantic error. Spelling error. This type of error is due to wrong spelling, because wrong spelling changes the very meaning of the sentence. For example, he is my son. Here the word son is incorrect. It should be S-O-N. No S-U-N. Form. These errors can be error of omission. It occurs due to dropping of the necessary items. For example, my father's name is XYZ. Here an apostrophe to the word father is dropped. Father's name, not father. Error of order. This type of error occurs due to incorrect order of words. For example, when I shall meet you, here parts of the sentence have been placed in an incorrect order. It is a kind of error of order. Error of addition. This type of error occurs when some unnecessary words is added. For example, he faced a one problem. Here the word one is added unnecessarily. Error of selecting. Here an improper selection is the cause of such errors. For example, one day he is going to school. Here present progressive tense has been used, which is an improper selection. There can be interlingual error. Gujarati would ask, where going you are? Instead of, where are you going? Similarly, errors can occur due to incomplete knowledge of rules, ignorance of exceptions. For example, does she still sing? Remedial teaching is the most appropriate and widely used treatment to rectify the errors made by the learners. Specific causes of errors. If the teacher and the students know the causes of errors, remedial work will become so much easier. Apart from the subject English and the methods of teaching, the learner is the most important part of the teaching learning process. Certain deficiencies in learning English may be due to the effect of bilingualism, inadequacy in learning, systematic errors, other factors such as wrong work habits, lack of incentive, faulty methods of teaching, and unsuitable textbooks, defects of vision and hearing, and inadequate parental assistance. Common errors in English. Use in the articles. There are 3 articles in English. A and an are called indefinite articles, and the is called definite articles. Use of an before words beginning with vowel sounds A, E, I, O, U. For example, an apple, an egg, an owl. Rule number 2 says before words beginning with silent H. For example, an arch, an honorable man, an ears. Rule number 3, F, H, L, M, N, R, S, X are letters that are not vowels but begin with vowel sound. For example, M has the sound of M. So N is used for abbreviation beginning with vowels of these words. For example, an MLA, an MLA, an RAF, an RCC, an X-ray, an SP. Use of sound. Rule 1 says the sense of one. In the sense of one, for example, he cannot speak a word. I saw a camel yesterday. With one, because verb begins with sound of Q or verb. For example, a one-eyed man. A1 would be not. Rule 2 is before words beginning with consonant sounds. For example, a boy, a box, a dog. Next, rule number 3 is with vowel letters having consonant value. For example, a university, a unique article, a European. Rule number 4 is with until and rate. For example, he earns rupees 500 a day. Rice is sold 10 rupees a kilo. Rule 5 says in exclamatory expression before single countable nouns. For example, what a pretty girl! What a pretty girl! How sunny is day! How sunny a day! Rule 6 says, when two subjects or articles are thought of as single unit. For example, he was ready with the cup and saucer. He was ready with the cup and saucer with certain expressions of quantity. with a person's name to indicate that the person is perhaps unknown to the person addressed. It is A. Mr. Roy is at the door. To make common noun of a proper noun, for example, this man is a second Newton. This man is a second Newton. Use of the one is when we speak of a particular person or thing already referred to. Example is the boy near the well is my brother. The boy near the well is my brother. I dislike the fellow who is dishonest. Number 2. When a singular noun represents a whole class. For example, the mango is considered the king among fruits. The ash is used as a beast of burden. Note, the nouns man and woman do not take the before them. For example, man is mortal. Rule number 3 says, with names of gulfs, rivers, oceans, islands, and mountains, certain books and critics. For example, the Persian Gulf, the Indian Ocean, the Hawaii Island, the Ganga, the Red Fort, the Gita. Rule 4 says before common nouns denoting unique things. Example says the sun, the sky, the bird, the starch. Rule 5 says with superlatives. For example, he is the best boy in the class. He is the best boy in the class. Prizes would be given for the most outstanding performances. Rule number 6 says with ordinals. For example, he took the first taxi. 2 is our class is on the second floor. Rule number 7 says before an adjective when noun is understood. Example says the poor would favor him. The poor would favor him. We must help the blind. Next is errors in use of nouns. Rule 1 says nouns which are used with singular form: scenery, information, furniture, news, advice, issue, repair, business. For example, the scenery of this place is worth seeing. 2 is I have received no information so far. 3 is name of subject, physics, mathematics, economics, ethics, meanings, etc. 3 is brick, bread, road, word. For example, let me buy some fruit. A is tube, 2 is word. Words like dozen, score, 100, 1,000, pair, million when preceded by a numeral. For example, he bought 10 dozen mangoes. I have 4 pair of shoes. Expressions as a 10 to be note, a 6-man committee, etc. Nouns used only in plural forms. Cattle, police, people. Gentry, peasantry. For example, the police have caught the thief. Cattle are grazing in the field. Scissors, trousers, stockings, spectacles, goods, arms, remains, inches, measles. For example, my scissors are very sharp. My scissors are very sharp. My spectacles are missing. Rule number 3. Nouns used both as singular and plural in the same form. Deer, deer, she, sheep, fish, apparatus, fish apparatus, wages. The wages of sin is death. The wages of the workers have been raised. I saw a sheep grazing in the field. Sheep are sold cheaper than God. Collective nouns as jury, public, community, audience, government, congregation. For example, the teams are looking quite fit. The team has won the cup. Next is one of or any of each followed by plural words. For example, I want one of the books kept on the table. I want one of the books kept on the table. Any of these tools may serve my purpose. Next rule is plural nouns are used with fractions and decimal over 1. For example, it took us 1.5 hours. Errors in the use of pronouns. Rule 1 says the pronoun one must be followed by ones. For example, one must do one's duty. One must do one's duty. Next is when one means one in number, the pronoun for it is third person singular. He, she, it. What is incorrect? One of them has given up one's studies. Its correct is one of them has given up his studies. Rule 3 says everyone and everybody must be followed by each. Everyone should love his country. Rule 4 says each, every, anyone, anybody must be followed by the singular pronoun of their person. For example, anyone can do it if he tries. Rule number 5 says let each followed by pronoun in the possessive case. For example, let him go, let him go. Let's you and me solve this problem. Let's you and me solve this problem. Rule 6 says but and except are followed by pronoun in the objective case. For example, everyone attended the party except him. Similarly, such as is followed by pronoun in the subjective case. For example, I have no liking for such a man as he. Rule 7 says verbs like enjoy, well, pride, design, apply, assert, acquit, absent are followed by reflexive pronoun, self form of pronouns. For example, he absented himself from the class. We enjoyed ourselves at the party. I availed myself of the opportunity. She prides herself on her wealth. Today it says never use reflexive pronouns with verbs keep, conceal, qualify, spread, rest and stay. For example, she kept away from the meeting. He qualified in the test. Rule 9 says, when first, second and third person singular pronouns are used together, they are placed in the order you, he and I. 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3 is changed into 3, 2, 3, 1. For example, you, he and then they. For example, we, you and they are citizens of India. But if we have only two persons including first, then first person pronoun is written first. For example, I and Ram did this job. Rule 10 says, who denotes subject, whom denotes object. For example, who do you think did the job? Whom did you abuse? Rule 11 says, whose is used for persons and which for lifeless objects. For example, this is the boy whose father is my teacher. This is the table which I was thinking about. Rule 12 says, which conveys additional information and that explains certain things. For example, I will tell you the first thing which I remember. I will tell you the first thing which I remember. I am talking about the duties that form a part of my profession. Rule 13 says, each other is used for two, one another for more than two. For example, Sita and Gita love each other. They help one another. Next is, the relative pronoun should be placed as near as possible to the antecedent. For example, here is the book that I lent you. I have read Shakespeare's works, who was a great dramatist. Next is, the case of pronoun following them and edge is decided by mentally supplying the verb and completing the sentence. For example, she is taller than I. I love you more than he. I love you more than him. Errors in the use of prepositions. The preposition is a word used with a noun or pronoun to show its relation to some other word in a sentence. Prepositions of time and is used with a definite point of time. For example, I usually get up at 5 o'clock. He leaves his house every day at 9 p.m. with festival. In is used with the parts of the day, months, seasons, years. For example, he takes a walk in the evening. In summer, the weather is warm. With the future tense, referring to the period in which action may take place. For example, you must be careful in future. On is used with days and dates. For example, my brother will arrive on Monday. India became free on 15th August 1947. I met him on Ch.R.R. By reference to the latest time at which an action will be over. For example, the examination will be over by 5 p.m. By evening, he will have finished his work. For is used with perfect continuous tense, showing the duration of action. For example, I have been here for 3 years. They have been playing cards for 3 years. Since it's used with the point of time when action begins and is continuously going on. For example, he has been ill since last Monday. Since 1980, she has lived in Delhi. From refers to the starting point of an action. For example, this water came from a spring. She came from USA. Preposition of position and refers to an exact point. For example, the tourist stayed at the tourist hotel. He studied at Oxford. He is waiting at the door. In reference to a larger areas. For example, he lives in Bombay. Between is used for two persons or two places. For example, divide these mangoes between Ram and Hari. It is a secret between you and me. Among is used with more than two persons or things, but before the word which starts with the consonant letter. For example, divide these sweets among the students. Amongst. It is used with more than two persons or things, but before the word which starts with the vowel letter. For example, divide the sweets among the stage. Divide the sweets amongst us. Above. Above is used for higher than. For example, the sun rose above the horizon. We were flying above the clouds. Under is used for vertically low. For example, it is shady under the trees. He is under 19. Below. It's used for lower than. For example, when the sun sets, it goes below the horizon. Your work is below average. Over is used for vertically above. For example, the roof is over our heads. The roof is over our heads. There is an aircraft coming over. Beneath means a lower position. For example, the ground was swiftly beneath her. Preposition of direction. To is used to express motion from one place to another. For example, he walked to the river and back. We went to Ghana to see the arch. Towards refers to direction. For example, he saw me running towards him. She looked towards the east. Introduction. Into denotes motion towards the inside of something. For example, he jumped into the river. She fell into a ditch. And refers to aim. For example, he aimed at the bird. He aimed at the bird. Don't look at him so hard. 4 denotes direction. For example, I will leave for Pune today. The minister left for the UK. Against shows pressure. For example, he learned against the tree. She cleaned the knife against the blade. Of refers to separation. For example, he wiped sweat off his face. He wiped sweat off his face. Kim fell off his chair. From refers to the point of departure. For example, the man has come from Delhi. We were separated from our friends. Other uses of preposition. About shows nearness. For example, I was about to go to bed when there was a knock at the door. His father is about to retire. Alone stands for in the same line. For example, she led them along the corridor. The current passes along the wire here. After refers to sequence. For example, she came after me. Soon after, he began to search for his book. Across means from one side. For example, he blows a cloud of smoke across the table. She ran across the field. Before stands for in front of. For example, the garage is before the road. A thief was brought before the judge. Behind means at the back of. For example, the sun went behind a cloud. She sat down behind the ledge. Beyond means on the further side of. For example, this is beyond my power. Love is beyond all human control. Beside means by the side of. For example, he came and sat beside his father. Besides means in addition to. For example, he is guilty of 5 killings and more besides. Besides being a teacher, he is a skilled craftsman. Thank you, dear brothers and sisters, all my friends.